It has been up and down. We've had some games that have been really good. That Florida game and Walter Clayton's
Mhm.
display of shot making had my head spinning. That's how much fun that game was. Outside of that, it's been a lot of ebbs and flows as far as we saw the best of Tennessee, what they could do offensively, and we saw the absolute worst of Tennessee. They had 12 points up for the first 18 minutes of the game. That was crazy. I think one thing that we figured out this year is it is the most complete top that we've ever seen. When I say that, what I mean is the top four teams have been so dominant, so utterly dominant this year that there's like a clear second tier, and the second tier starts at the fifth best team. That's how good it's going to be in San Antonio. I'm hoping for three great games. I think it's possible we have three great games. It has been very chalky, and there's going to be a lot of talk about the portal and NIL and what it's done to the mid majors. I don't want to hear it. There's always going to be a team that sneaks through that just happens to be one of these years. I think the last time we had four number ones, Roy Williams was at Kansas. That's how long ago we're talking about. So this does happen. It doesn't happen often, but I do think it's going to be a fantastic Final Four. I'm pissed that I'm not going to freaking be there because I love the event, and I especially love the event in San Antonio. It's one of my favorite cities. Love the event in San Antonio. So cool to be on the Riverwalk and all that. I think San Antonio, New Orleans, two terrific cities for the Final Four. So I'm not happy, but at the same time, I have to make do with watching it on television.
So this is historic in the respect of these four teams since Ken Pom started in 1996 would be in the top 10 all time. The 2008 Final Four featured 20 future NBA players, multiple All Stars. I mean, you just had so many studs between Kansas, Carolina, Memphis, and UCLA on those teams between Russ and D Rose. I mean, it was amazing. I think for me, the take of it being boring and of being chalky, I'm not going to sit here and say that in this particular tournament, we haven't seen some results that and the majority of the results be like that. But
Yeah.
what do you really remember? What do you really remember about a tournament ultimately over anything, whether or not the championship game delivers the goods?
Right.
And the last 2 years, really the last couple of years, it's been relatively boring. It's been a matter of formality to crown UConn as champion. Good for UConn fans. Dolster hasn't sweat or gotten or had to be really that nervous, even though he was pregame. But when I asked some people this morning, I'm like, when's the last title game that you truly remember being great? The answers varied. Somebody said Gordon Hayward. Somebody said a title game for the early 2000s. I said, look, it's got to be 2016 when Chris Jenkins hits the shot after Marcus Page knocks it down for Carolina and
Yep.
Villanova wins, and they change the course of their program history. If we get three great games and an all-time weekend, this will go down as the most impactful, eventful, loaded at the top Final Four that we have seen. Now, it does bear noting, the game has changed. And I think we were talking about this before the show. Because of the way basketball is being played, faster, more possessions, more threes, analytically speaking, you're going to see teams that are advanced. Todd Golden and John Shire are two of the bright young minds in the sport, if not the brightest young minds in the sport. And Kelvin Sampson's evolved, and Bruce Pearl has certainly evolved. And I'm fascinated by that angle. Four coaches who have never won a national championship here. But I do think that when you look at the sport, when the very, very best go up against each other, that's where you have the opportunity for something truly special to happen. And I do think it's important. As much as the television ratings probably won't get hurt much because they've been very, very high because of the big brands. I do think it's important that when you have this collection of teams, that we get a weekend that is in fact the goods. And I think we're going to get that. Rather than being negative about this,
Yeah.
I turn it the other way and say, we're not going to get this every year. Not the four number ones. It took the bounce of a ball several times for us to get this collection of teams. It could just as easily be Texas Tech frankly, it should be.
Yep. And look,
I love that.
Go ahead.
I love it, and I'm sorry to even bring it up. And Gabs, like when it comes to selling a product and watching these great games, I'm in complete agreement. And I'm a glass half full guy when it comes to a lot of that. I did not love, and they obviously have to address how Texas Tech handled it at the end. However, fucking Florida had to freaking hit shots. Like some of these shots that Walter Clayton hit, insane. They had to finish free throws. Why don't we focus on how freaking good they were as opposed to it being like, oh, well, Texas Tech. I didn't. Hey, look, Barkley's great. He does get negative.
Mm-hmm.
He gets negative. And when you're trying to sell for the next weekend, why wouldn't you talk about how freaking good Walter Clayton is and how exciting how freaking exciting it is to have a guy that's in college. Now, some of the shots he made, and he was able to get, he got some calls. I get all that.
Thomas Houck.
Unbelievable. Why aren't we focusing on that as opposed to, man, we're gonna kick ourselves, man. We lost the Elite Eight. We're gonna kick ourselves.
And analytics won the game.
Yes, we focus on that here on the Field of 60. That's something that I pride our network in.
You bet your ass. It's fun, man. It's fun. God.
There's room to be disappointed and talk about how, what happened with Jonas Adu missing free throws and what happened with the guys on Texas Tech missing free throws. But you still had to hit 4 threes in about 100 seconds. You still had the 4th 3 that Walter Clayton hit where he caught the ball in the middle of the lane, dribbles it out, and then hits a turnaround fadeaway over 2 guys when they're down by 2 with a minute left. One, that is a ridiculous shot to even think that you should be taking in that moment. And 2, it's even more ridiculous that he made that shot. And 3, T.O., please tell me if anyone comes to mind, I have never in my life see somebody that is so nonchalantly an assassin. Walter Clayton is just out there like he is shooting around in warmups, and it's just I'm just going to dribble right over here, and I got 2 guys on me, but I'm going to take this little fadeaway with absolutely no space, and it's going to go in, and then I'm going to run back on defense like I just made a layup in layup lines. He doesn't. I don't think he realizes the moment that he's in right now. I don't think he realizes the stage that he's on. Sometimes I just want to smack him in the back of the head and be like, dude, you just hit a game-winning shot to put your team into the Final Four. And it's like nothing happened. What are you doing? Wake up, man. This is amazing.
Rob, it took stones. How about the testicles it takes to say, we're going to foul with 2:50 on the clock?
Yes.
Nobody does that. I told Jonathan Sapphire and I were messaging about it last night. T.O., I think this. They're the only staff that would actually, down 6, start to foul that early.